and Modern Gods. I'm John.
I'm Richard.
Hi, Richard. Look at you with your mask shirt.
I love
like
this shirt. This is such a great shirt.
It is a shirt. It is a reference to Mask comics that only longtime viewers of listeners of this show would know. That not that Dark Horse Mask
No,
Jim Carrey movie.
no, the Golden Age mask.
Is that an LB? That's an old LB Cold cover,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Look at that. See, for more scintillating conversation like this, make sure you like and subscribe. If you are not following us on Instagram and Facebook, you should. It's at Bronze and Modern Gods. You see it right there. And you can leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform if you feel like it. Hey, we've got Old Fart Rule this week. We go back to 1984. Underrated Books of the Week. Your viewer mail, as always. And we start off. We're regulars. You know, we've got a system. We've got a format we like, and it starts with the hot book of the week. And Richard always tells us what it is.
This week it is kind of an obvious one. Giant Size X-Men #1, Marvel, 1975.
What's that? What's this book?
Giant Size X-Men.
That book. The one I used to have in a 9.4 and I sold before it took off. Yeah, that one. Okay. Go on.
If I was especially cruel, I'd look up the GPA on that 9.4.
Let's not remind everyone of all my mistakes. We're not perfect. Go on.
This book is important for a lot of reasons. First appearance of the new X-Men team. Second full appearance of Wolverine, and if you count 182 as a cameo.
And if you don't count 180 as his first.
Yeah, it's all wacky. It definitely is the first appearance of the new X-Men team with Wolverine in tow. First appearance of Krakoa.
Oh, you can say it's the first appearance of Colossus, of Nightcrawler, of Storm, Thunderbird, even.
So it's a key issue for the X-Men. It just edges out X-Men 94, which is their first appearance in the regular title. This is a one-off giant-sized book, and it's hot because of the Deadpool Wolverine movie that's coming here in July, and I am really excited about it. Ryan Reynolds seems to love the character Deadpool, and he brings a lot of energy and humor to his movies. So adding Wolverine as a straight man to it is going to be awesome. So looking forward to it. The book value has been up and down. Right now, the value is sitting about half of what it was back in 2022.
It's still double from when I sold mine, but go on.
It still is, yeah. And I originally had in my notes, right now is the right time to sell if you've got one, but the wrong time to buy if you want one. And I'm going to retract that. I think at the price of the book right now is at an affordable rate. If you have a book that you want to sell it thinking in mind that the movie is going to come out in July. So you always have a bit of a rise in value before a major movie, but then after the movie, the price goes down. So if you're looking to buy, you can either wait a little bit, or if you're buying now, I think is totally fine. I think the prices are reasonable compared to what they were. I also want to say that high grade books are tough to come by. Sorry, John, because of the white cover and the square bound spine on this book. Getting a 9.8 is incredibly hard. Although there's a 9.9 on the census.
Oh yeah, we know all about it.
Yeah, that's just amazing.
It's interesting they didn't bring it to display at WonderCon, but okay, go on.
And a note: this book is cut funny. When it's on the presses, it came. There are instances of the book where the right margin is slightly off. It looks like it's been cut, but it's not. That's just how it came off the press. My 6.0 that I've had forever shows that. I was a little nervous to send it to get graded, but it got a blue label. 9.8 sold for $24,000 this year, which is pretty impressive. Until you know that a 9.8 in 2022 sold for $44,000. So the book has seen a little bit of a drop. It's 256 9.8s out there, the 9.9. I love this book. I love the X-Men. I always have. They are kind of the linchpin of my interest in comics. And this is always that milestone book, more so than 94 for me for X-Men.
I love this book. I've owned it a couple times. I don't have one at the moment. I don't know what's going to happen with this book, and the reason I say that is because we know Wolverine is in Deadpool. We know the X-Men are coming to the MCU. Are they going to have an end credit sequence at the end of Wolverine and Deadpool with teases the X Men? If that happens, this book explodes again.
Yeah.
Or are we waiting another 4 or 5 years till Marvel gets their act together for an X Men relaunch in the proper MCU, and have a dead period waiting for this book? I don't know what's going to happen with this book. I have my 94. I'm happy. I'm happy with my 94.
Yeah, for a while, I was collecting 94s. I had a number of them. I still have a number of them. Um, they're easier to come by than the giant size X-Men, at least so far in my experience. They've been more affordable. People have not valued the 94 as much as the GSX, which is the shortcut for giant size X-Men. I think that'll change eventually, but I think if you're strapped for money, you may want to look at the X-Men 94 instead of the giant size, because I think you can get a comparable grade for less money.
Didn't used to be that way. Back in the day, 94 was the old timers, old dealers, and people from the 70s and 80s will remember 94 was more expensive than Giant Size X Men #1. I don't know if it was because of less of them, the green cover. I bet you the print run on Giant Size X Men is higher than X Men 94.
That's a good. I wish
You
I
know?
should look that up.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we're going to ever get a real reliable number because there was no statement of circulation,
Mhm.
for the giant size books. And we don't know what the giant size books were, the print runs were, versus X Men 94, which was the first new issue, but it had been a reprint book before that. Who knows? I just know it's time for you to make noises and do your gestures to change to the show and tell screen. You didn't make noise. Make
Ooh,
noise.
ooh, ooh.
You'll get it right, people. Show and tell. Richard, I'm going to start this week, okay? Because I pulled this for you. J. Scott Campbell cover that I don't think you have. Super sexy J. Scott Campbell cover. You ready?
Mhm.
It is Rawhide Kid #5.
I do not have that one. Really?
What a ripoff. You thought this was
Yeah.
going to be, yeah, there he is. See, J. Scott Campbell on the side. Here is the Rawhide Kid on his white pony. Explicit content. Uh,
Oh, really? Really?
this
Have
is
you read it?
the, yeah, it's the second Max miniseries.
Okay.
Or I think it's the first one, yeah. Where, they had him come out as gay and everybody lost their minds. And for some reason, him being gay was explicit. There's nothing explicit in this book.
Really?
Yeah.
That's oh, that's dumb.
But I saw it had a J. Scott Campbell cover. I completely forgot about that.
That is, one of the few males that he's drawn. He typically sticks with females.
J. Scott Campbell collectors, is this something you want?
Yeah, I would. It's part of my
Okay,
collection. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. How come we don't get the booty shots like everybody else does when J. Scott can? Hey, no fair. What is your point? Show and tell.
Petition.
Yes.
Well, I can't be outdone. My first one here is Hero Comics #1. It is a Scott Campbell cover.
We don't plan this, you guys.
This was for the Hero Initiative, which is an awesome charity that gives money to comic book artists and writers who need. uh,
Contrast and compare
yeah.
the amount of clothes. I'm trying not to be offended. Go on.
So I bought this. This is one of the $10 books that I bought at the show the past weekend. It's going for like $40 on eBay.
Okay.
This is a 9896 candidate. It is really clean. I'm thinking about pressing it and sending it in. It's one of those books I wish I had signed by him. That might be an alternative, is to take it to the next signing that he does and get him to sign it, because he does such a great job with signing. I could see like a green and gold signature on there. It'd be cool.
Yeah. So, Hero Initiative, for those of you who don't know, it is believe it's a nonprofit organization that is devoted to earning money to give to creators for their medical bills, any emergencies they have, especially older creators that did not have any benefits, no medical benefits. They were all work for hire, and they've done great work. I believe maybe Steve Bissett or John Totalbin, one of the two, just posted on Facebook about Hero Initiative really helping them out with their medical bills and their needs. So, great organization.
Yeah, according to their website, they've given out over $1 million to help comic book industry professionals in need. So
There you
kudos.
go. Uh, okay, just got back from Palm Springs, Palm Desert for a quick Saturday and Sunday trip. Stopped at a comic shop there, and I can tell you there are still deals to be had out there, Richard.
Yep.
Don't give up. If you haven't scored in a while, just keep looking. Depends on what you consider a score. I think a Unity #1 Gold Edition for $3.99 is a score.
Oh, wow.
For you vanity, for you
Valiant.
Valiant, thank you. For you Valiant fans, I don't know where Vanity Comics, there you go, I like that. Valiant fans, old school Valiant fans, this is some people might consider this peak shooter era Valiant or the beginning of the end, depending on, because it did so well. That's when they pushed him out of the company, and then it became okay. We have to recreate this over and over again. It wasn't as organic as this crossover, and of course they did some chase versions. They were one of the first companies to really do chase variants, and this is the gold. And I paid a whopping $3.99 for it.
Wow, excellent. What's the grade?
It needs a press. I don't know if you can see through the bag here. See these bends? Let me try to catch it in the
Yeah,
light.
I can see it. Yeah.
They are non-color breaking. So I think I can press them out, and I think it's going to be at least a 9.4. But I didn't have a gold for $3.99. I cannot pass up a Valiant gold. All right, what's your next one?
Last week I'm sorry, not last week. During our members only show that we just did earlier, you mentioned Lloyd Llewellyn, and that's a whole me going down a deep rabbit hole. So here is what's his name? Clowes is how you pronounce his name?
Daniel Clowes?
Clowes, right.
Mm-hmm.
He did this book as well, 8 Ball. This book really took off a couple of years ago. This is the third print of issue #1. Okay. It is hard to describe this book. It is very, very hard to describe.
Surrealistic.
Very much so. I guess that would be a good description. It is very surreal. The stories, there's a number of individual unlinked stories that are a part of this book. Tough.
You've got Lloyd Llewellyn there at the bottom. You've got young Dan Pussy.
Yeah.
The parody of comic book collectors and comic book fans. You have to have a good sense of humor. If you don't have a good sense of humor, you don't like being made fun of, do not read that.
Yeah, and then the lead story, the Like a Velvet Glove Cast in Iron, is very surreal and very out there. And yeah, if you're expecting like a superhero story or something along the lines of Lloyd Llewellyn, look, it's Lloyd Llewellyn, which is the 6-year issue run that stars Lloyd. You're not going to get it here. It's going to be more experimental. It's interesting, and it takes you on a journey. You're just not really sure where you get to when at the end of the journey.
Those are the best ones, though. I like, it challenges you. It makes you pay attention. It's definitely graphic art.
Yes.
With a capital A. So if you have not experienced 8 Ball and you're a courageous sort that doesn't mind getting made fun of for liking superheroes, then I would definitely check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Still deals to be had in Palm Springs, Palm Desert area, including Unity #1, the Platinum variant.
How many different variants were there?
I don't know. I believe there was just a platinum, a gold, and the regular. You guys tell me if I'm missing one. 3.99. Yeah, I don't know if they just wanted to ditch them. I don't know if it's worth anything now. I never had a gold and I never had a platinum. Now I have both.
Excellent. This was a great
For
trick for you.
Yeah, I believe this was free when it came out. Unity 1 was the giveaway.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what you had to do to get a gold or a platinum. If you had to order a certain amount, and platinum ones were tougher for Valiant at the beginning. You had to do something significant to earn a platinum cover from Valiant. You had to write a letter or have an event at your comic shop to promote Valiant, and they would
Oh,
award. Yeah, so they were very stingy with the platinums at first. So, uh, now that Valiant is kind of over, despite still being published, um, the trees have shaken and the platinums have fallen out of the trees quite a bit. But it was nice to get a gold and a platinum from the same shop for 3.99 each. I can't pass those up.
right. Congrats.
Thanks. What you got? What's your last one?
Let's see. What do I want to pick? This is another $10 book. This is Rich Sonja. Another J. Scott Campbell cover. I just like the cover. It's it you know it says first issue. I'm not sure what series this is from. It is Dynamite Comics, uh, but I just like the cover, and there's certain value in collecting J. Scott Campbell covers because um, they seem to retain value over time, and this is a nice cover. That spot red there is pretty cool.
I like that. It's really loose pencils. If it is pencils, do you think he actually drew that in pencil?
Looking at it, it looks like he did.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wonder if he still draws in pencil or if he drew that in pencil. I like that loose, not overly inked and polished approach. That's a really cool one.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, moving on from show and tell, it's a reminder to support the show by becoming a member. We see you new members that joined last week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's $2.99 a month. You can swing that if you want. If you want more Richard and John, if you don't, and you're fine, keep your money and see us each Monday. We still love you. We still appreciate you. But if you do join for $2.99, you get exclusive live member only streams on Thursdays. You get extra show and tell episodes and members only viewer mail episodes on Wednesdays. You get shout outs like this in future videos where you can say every Monday, look, there's my name right there. Ha ha ha. And you also help Richard and I defray the cost of StreamYard subscription each year. It's going to shows. What else? Oh, Richard, we pay so much. I got a new gimbal
Yeah.
to use for the show.
Pay for GPA for
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Look, we're not here to beg you. If you want more content, just hit join at the bottom. It's right here on YouTube next to the subscribe button. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, head over to our YouTube channel and just hit join. And we're going to move on to our favorite segment and yours, Viewer Mail.
You've got mail.
My first piece of Viewer Mail comes from our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com from More Fun 101. I get that reference.
More fun. Yeah.
I recently received a 7.0 Purple Label for Swamp Thing #1. Restoration includes cover reglossed. This book has been in my collection since 1978. People weren't really reglossing books and throwing them in back issues bins then, were they? They were. I think it's just so beautifully glossy, and with today's methods, that the CGC graders must have just agreed this is way too glossy to have not been restored. There's nothing stiff or tacky about the cover. I think CGC just got this one wrong. Thoughts? More fun. Thank you for writing in #1. #2, we got to see it. Got to see it out of the slab. I can't make any judgments. I think you also started a thread about this in the CGC forums that I saw last week. I saw the images you have there. Still tough to tell with those images. I will say, if it's really super glossy and it's a 7.0 and you've got those spine ticks happening that I saw in the picture, someone messed with it. I know it's hard to hear, but that's just my gut telling me. I'd have to see the book in person, though. Richard.
Were people? He said he's had this book in his collection for a seriously long time.
Oh, people were messing with books all through the 60s and 70s. I mean, that's why there's so many restored golden age books, people, silver age keys. People just did everything. How many AAF 15s have you seen with color touch?
Yeah.
Um,
You think the little black marker will help make it look better? Yeah.
or brown, those browns in that book. People thought they got away with restoring books and selling them, back in the day before there were black light detection and people looking through the cover to see the marker bleeds and things like that. It's sad. Now, more fun 101. I don't know if your book has been reglossed, but they're pretty good about detecting this stuff. That's one thing they are good at. All right. What is your first piece of your mail?
My first piece is from Comic Padre. As someone that cracks open slabs to get the golden age goodness inside, I would like slabs, and even more so inner wells that were easy to open with less risk of damaging the book.
What?
They should be they should be to create a case that is easy to open but impossible to tamper with. And this made me think. I can understand the okay. I can understand the desire as an owner of one of these slabs to be able to get access to your book in case you want to repress it, in case you want it to be back in a raw condition, and you want to be able to get it out of the slab and the inner well without damage. I can understand the need to do that. But on the flip side, CGC is in the business of protecting these books and not in the business of allowing you to unprotect them. So I don't see a lot of upsides to them making these easier to crack and open. Um, that's just how I see it. I think it's going to be something that if you want to get into the book inside of a CGC slab, you're always going to have to jump through some hoops to be able to do it, because again, their job is to protect the book, and that is
Ostensibly.
ostensively, yeah.
I mean, Comic Padre, I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Trust me, I'm not making fun of you, but I would rather have a secure, hard to open, tamper evident slab than something that anyone can easily pop and
Mhm.
slide inner well out. I mean, that's what you're paying for, really. Yeah, but I hear you. You want your book raw. You want to buy it, make sure it's not restored or whatever grade that you want it to be, and then you want to be able to pop it out and enjoy it. But you got to take the good with the bad. It's the facts of life.
Yes, the
The
facts.
facts of life. You said, oh, hey, also from our email at bronzemodernggods@gmail.com from JJ. Hello, John and Richard. Thank you for the awesome nostalgia and look forward to the fun every week.
Thank you.
I was walking around Universal City Walk in Hollywood and I found the store Things from Another World. I know where this is going. I know exactly where this is going. And I recall Richard stated he often orders from this brand. I was so excited to look around as it has been years since I've been to the City Walk. It seems it was more of a pop culture store, as the only comic books I saw were the latest week's releases. I rarely get excited about visiting an LCS anymore, but Richard reminded me of the excitement when I saw this storefront. I believe John said he owned or worked in a store, and I can imagine how difficult it may be to survive, to service us collectors who want something just so. Oh, yes. I remember the excitement every week when I was young and visited my local comics and comic stores in Northern California, as I was usually able to get my new releases, but there was always something to find in the back issues to make me buy more. But my excitement is lost as store owners have very little selection in back issues, and the sheer number of variant covers frighten my wallet due to FOMO and choosing selectively, i.e., do I get the 1 in 25 or the 1 in 50? One store I visited wanted to charge me $1 just so I could look into a back issue box of X-Men from the 1980s. I'm going to stop right there, JJ. Anyone charges you $1 to look at their back issues, kindly tell them to screw themselves and leave. Back to JJ's email. I believe it is my problem, and I may be visiting the wrong shops or not going consistently to get to know the owners, but I do feel lost often, as the time when one can browse freely without pressure is no longer a thing as when I was a kid. Thank you always for all you do. You are both appreciated, JJ. Thank you, JJ.
Thank you, JJ.
Where to begin, JJ? Some stores make a lot of money off back issues. Some have huge back issue bins that sit there and they get dusty and they collect dirt and nobody looks through them. Nobody buys from them. I think you hit the nail on the head. Geographics and which normally is called geography, John. Geographics. I'm making up words. Geography has a lot to do with it. The audience that lives around the store, which would be geography, John, has a lot to do with it. Things from Another World and Universal City Walk. This is why I knew where you were going. It's a tourist trap. That whole thing is a tourist trap. So don't expect anything there except for overpriced statues and Funko Pops and a few comics. I can't think of anybody that would go through the horror of trying to park at City Walk to go get their month or their weekly comics. Um, Evan's here with his family right now. I wonder if he's going to go to Universal City Walk and go to buy comics at Things from Another World.
You should tell him to do it.
Yeah, exactly. But JJ, I hear you. Some stores do really well with back issues. Some just can't be bothered. It really, you just got to go. I find the smaller towns are better. Palm Springs versus LA, for example.
We've got a mix around here. We've got stores that have a large number of a back catalog. I'm thinking of John and Carol's here in the Cleveland area. They have I don't know, at least 50 long boxes worth of comics, all organized and sorted. But then we have other shops that are pretty much only what's on, what is new and maybe 2 weeks old. I think is the oldest they go back, but they have that content and they're serving their particular audience. John and Carol serves an audience has been older clientele that has larger collections, while the other shops may serve a younger audience that doesn't have the need to find, the older back issues. So, and Things from Another World. I used to buy my comics from them. All the new comics, they replaced my local LCS because I was able to put in filters to say, give me all of the Miles Morales books, or give me this, and it would give me those, and it would sometimes be a little too generous because of all of the variant covers that came out. I'd get 6 copies of of a particular issue because there's 6 different covers. That's legitimate, but that's why I stopped using them. But it's a good service. There are other services that have online services that have back order catalogs. I'm thinking of, oh my goodness, I know I'm not going to be able to think of.
Yeah, but I think people forget Things from Another World is owned by Dark Horse.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was started by Mike Richardson. That was actually, his comic book store in Oregon, and then he used the money to start Dark Horse Comics with Dark Horse Presents. Not that it has anything to do with anything. I just think it's a cute piece of trivia.
Midtown Comics. If you don't have anybody around you, can always Midtown keeps a pretty significant back issue catalog. So you can go on there and they have sales every now and then that you can get books at a great discount. So if you don't have any LCSs around you that have back order or back catalog, check out Midtown.
There you go. Your next piece of viewer mail ties in with my next piece of viewer mail. So you start off.
Okay. This is from YouTube, from Doc Reasonable. All of the recent DC facsimile editions are on newsprint. It's great. I wish Marvel would do likewise.
And I'm going to follow that up, with the next piece of viewer mail from Eric Cake. With the printing of newspapers consolidating, that leaves plenty of newspapers printing presses looking for commercial work. This might explain the return to newsprint and a serious cost savings. I say this as a former mailer in the newspaper industry for over 16 years. I only wish we had that contract. Richard, what do you think about this?
That's awesome. That's a great thought. The fact that Americans don't read newspapers like they used to, I could see them consolidating. But we still have all these printing presses that are sitting around idle. So if you could print a comic on there for less money than it would cost to print on an offset printer, that would be pretty cool. And I think the perfect the perfect candidate for this are these facsimile editions where you're trying to reprint the contents of a comic book that was originally in newsprint. So I
Yeah.
love it.
So when the Doctor Occult copyright lapses, and we do our Doctor Occult comic book, we're going to do it in a newsprint.
I would love to. Newsprint and the holographic cover.
I love how we've already done this. What? Go ahead and tell us your last piece of viewer mail.
My last piece is from Michael Kemp. Hey, John. Hey, Richard. Hey, Michael. Love the show. Seen them all. Thank
Oh,
you.
geez.
I
Wow. Sorry.
apologize. Keep up the good work. I do have an idea about a topic. What is your take on movie adaptation comic books? Could you let your viewers know how collectible they are? Are they? How many there are? If you have any, if any are desirable, and if any are valuable. I have a few. A few I have are The Deep, The Man from Atlantis, Blade, and Indiana Jones. What do you think? I think it would be interesting. Mike from Michigan. Hey, Mike. Yeah, this is funny. You should mention this. I was digging around looking for underrated books, and I came across that 9 issues run for V, the Visitors. That is a TV show. It's not a movie, but is an adaptation of the TV show into a comic series. And I thought that was cool. I remember that TV show, and I was be interested in reading the comic book adaptation of it. Um, the other ones would be really great too. There are a number. You've mentioned some here. Aliens is another one. John, what do you think?
I think you guys are all missing the biggest one of all, Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars. That's been done so left and right.
But we're talking about movie
Yeah.
adaptation comic books that are worth something, that are
Mhm.
long lasting. Uh, Mike, Blade was a comic character first before it was a movie,
That's true.
unless you're just referring to the movie adaptation one shot that came out.
Hmm.
I will say The Deep, it was a dollar comic. It was, I think, one of Marvel's first dollar comics. I don't have that, but I believe Carmine Infantino drew that. Man from Atlantis. I love the Man from Atlantis comic book. I have all 7 issues. I love that goofy Frank Robbins art in that. I love the show. I was so upset when the show got canceled, so the
Yeah.
comic book filled a void for me.
That is a deep dive, though. I'm sorry. I mean, you really have
Yeah,
to be a child of the 70s for.
deep dive, Man from Atlantis. I see what you did there.
Uh,
Indiana Jones, first 2 issues by John Byrne, written and drawn by John Byrne. Did you buy those when they came out, Richard?
no, I didn't. No.
Yeah. I believe The Raiders from the Lost Ark, a miniseries, is drawn by Walt Simonson and written by Walt
Yep,
Simonson.
I did.
Simonson?
Didn't Sienkiewicz do the covers for that?
Who knows? We're probably all over the place. I know Butch Geist did the
Hmm.
cover for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and I think he did the art in that as
One of
well.
one of my favorite movies of all time, Scott Pilgrim
Yeah,
versus the World, is a manga, and it started off as a manga, and they made it into a movie.
yeah. You're going backwards though. He wants movies that were made into
No,
comics.
but it's okay. Okay.
I, Michael, we could talk all day. It's a great idea. Let us know in the comments what your favorite movie adaptations were, everybody, and we'll read some of those next week. But right now, I'm trying to think what came out in 1984. We had E.T. was 83. What was a big movie in 84? Back to the Future was 85.
Mhm.
Well, we could sit here and stall, or we could just go right to the old fart roll. And I'm not about stalling. I'm about snappy segues
Get
this
right into it.
this year. Old fart rule. We go 40 years back into the past for us old farts, and we remember what happened in the comics industry in 1984. Our favorites, some gems, including this one right here, Richard. Groo the Wanderer, number 8 from Pacific Comics. The last issue of the original run of Groo from
Mhm.
Pacific Comics. And there's Shakal guest starring. She's on the cover there. She made her introduction in issue 7 right before this. This is right when Pacific Comics was going off the rails, which is a shame. They started so strongly. You had Jack Kirby doing Captain Victory. You had Mike Grell doing Star Slayer, another male character that wore no clothes. You by Mike Grell. Just saying. Just saying. I know Mike Grill's married. I know. Groo. You had Groo. You had Alien Worlds with Dave Stevens. You had The Rocketeer with Dave Stevens.
Yeah.
What Pacific Comics? What were you doing with the money? I mean, my lord. Uh, we'd have to wait another 7 months until the next issue of Groo, because Eclipse would then pick up what was supposed to be issue 9 and publish it as a one shot in October of this year. And this is after Pacific gave up the ghost. Richard, did you buy Groo when it was with Pacific? Were you there at the beginning?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I didn't start buying Groo until later. I remember seeing it on the newsstand, and I thought it was kind of a goofy comic strip kind of comic.
Yeah.
It kind of is. But then I actually picked it up and read it, and it's a delightfully simple story that you can get yourself involved with when you compare it to the dense stories coming from Marvel and DC, and even some of the other independents out there. So it's a good story.
The best part is as it would go on to Epic Comics and run for years and years and years, and then go over to Image, it got dense. There were several recurring characters. You had a whole cast of characters besides Shakal. You had Raferto, his dog. You had the
Mhm.
witches. You had all sorts of people that would fill up the Grooniverse. I just dubbed that. Copyright 2024.
Yeah, but it never got to the level that Cerebus got to. Cerebus got you
No.
needed an encyclopedia, an index to know who the characters were and storylines and references. And Gru was always it did have more characters in it, but none of the characters were they all meshed together and were easy to understand.
40 years later, Groo continues to be published in a series of miniseries. So if you've not checked out Groo lately, what are you waiting for? Let's move on. What are we waiting for, Richard? For underrated books of the week?
Yes.
Look at you teasing this earlier.
Yeah, my underrated book this week is Look Out! It's Lloyd Llewellyn, #1. Again, John sparked my memory on our Thursday members only show. He mentioned the simple name Lloyd Llewellyn, and that brought back a flash of images that had me digging through the comic book archives. And this book came out in 1986. It's a detective comic done. It's done in a kitschy 50s Vegas style. The art style is called lowbrow, I guess is the official title to it. And Daniel Clowes, he's the artist and he wrote the story. And it's if you look at the cover here, you see it's simple, clean lines, um, you know, beautiful stylistic artwork, published by Fantagraphics. Some of his stories actually, some of the Lloyd Llewellyn stories appeared in other Fantagraphics comics like Love and Rockets. This particular series ran for 6 issues, and it had a special issue at the end. Um, but I remember this book. It was kind of a hipster kind of book, and it's a little off the wall, but it was cool. I mean, it's by cool I mean the definition of cool is if you follow the Rat Pack or something along those lines. It was a great kind of book along those lines with again simple characters and the storylines moved along pretty rapidly. There was a lot of weirdness that went on with it, but it was a part of that universe. Um, Thing is, there are only 5 books, 5 on the CGC census total.
It's magazine size, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe it is. Yeah,
that that always seems to give people pause. Oh, it's a magazine. Oh,
and there's only one. The highest graded one is a 9.6. There are no sales on GPA, so this book has not sold on eBay or any of the other services. At least not as CGC. I mean, maybe CBCS.
mhm.
Uh, but I think this is an underrated book from Fantagraphics. Fantagraphics back in this era in the '80s were a powerhouse of unique ideas and indie concepts, and this is one of those books that I think is a part of that renaissance and deserves a place in that pantheon.
Great pick. We've just been in a Daniel Clowes frenzy the last couple of weeks as we talk about 80s indies. I'm going to ruin it though. I'm going to jump forward a few years to 1993 for my underrated pick, which is Blood Syndicate
Wow.
#1 from, I was going to say Milestone Media, but look, there's a big old giant DC bullet on the top.
It's from
Okay,
both.
there's the Milestone. Okay, all right. I guess DC flicks some muscle. Ours is going to be on the left side where the money shot is. This ran for 35 issues. This was Milestone's team book. This was kind of their answer, I don't know, I guess, to the X-Men. It only ran for 35 issues, just a hair under 3 years. Issue 1 came in, and this is so 1993, a regular direct edition, a newsstand edition, and the collector's edition that came with a poster and a trading card and pre-bagged and poly, blah, 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 blah. This book was a mess for a new title that is launching from a giant new comic book company that's trying to make their mark. Guys, get it together. Issue 1, drawn by Trevor Von Eaton. Great. Issue 2, drawn by James Fry. What? We're changing art teams already? Issue 3, drawn by Chris Cross. Okay. Issue 4, drawn by Harvell Jones. What? Then issue 5, Chris Cross comes back and kind of defines the look of the book for a long time. Everybody thinks, Blood Syndicate was Chris Cross. Yeah, but he didn't get into being a regular artist till issue 5. That's crazy.
Yeah.
4 different artists in 5 issues. That's nuts. This had a 6-issue miniseries revival in 2022, which I picked up. It includes the return of Chris Cross on the artwork. Thank you. I haven't read it yet. I loved the original Blood Syndicate. I think I hung around the first 20 or so issues and then I dropped off. Have not read the revival. It's sitting here in the boxes waiting. Now, the good news is this is a good read. The better news is it's super cheap. And by super cheap, I mean a CGC 9.8, if you want a slab, sold for $40 in April, which is down from $138 last year. So I got this, I think, in a dollar bin somewhere, still sealed. So great read.
Yep, and then it's in that bag along with the poster. So if you are digging through, and a number of other Milestone books like
of those first issues,
like Static comes in that same type of bag. So keep an eye out for those. Keep an eye out for those because they've been sitting in dollar bins for the past years, and they will take damage because of that bag. So
they're easy to spot if you're looking above the bin. You can see the bag. You can see the poly bag. I like the Milestone books. I thought they were a victim of poor timing.
Mm-hmm.
They came out in '93, right before the crash. They had really good first year, and then the crash happened, and they were just a victim of just too much on the newsstand. And imagine, if they had launched, I don't know, 10 years later, 15 years later, I think people would be blown away. And the creative teams were really good when they could keep them on a book. I didn't know that about the first 5 issues of Blood Syndicate. I guess I didn't notice when I was reading it at the time. Mm-hmm. What a merry-go-round for a new launch. Yikes.
Yeah. Excuse me. Do you think they would, if they launched them 15 years later, that they would be received as better than they were back in?
I think so. I think people saw it as, it's the Black Comic Company, air quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the shop remember I had my shop at this point. I could tell you from personal experience, people kind of, they wouldn't say it, but they were resistant to Milestone and Tribe, #1, which I had cases of. That's my fault. I ordered too many. It was kind of unspoken, honestly. It was like, I don't think it's for me, which was code for, they don't look like me, therefore it can't be interesting. Which, I would be like, are you sure? You like super teams, you like drama, you like
don't mind guys made of steel or blue guys.
Right.
But
I know.
There's a
but in a post Miles Morales world, I have to wonder if they would do better. I maybe that's why DC tried again in 2022, but it was kind of half-hearted, wasn't it?
They did Static. They did the Static again.
Static ran a while. Static Shock.
Mhm.
Did you buy it?
Yeah,
Okay. Put your money where your mouth is.
I agree.
All right, that is going to wrap it up for a Monday episode. Members, we will see you on Wednesday. Everyone else, we'll see you next week.
Everybody stay safe.
Do that.